All right. Okay, so all over Twitter, everybody is discussing one, how sort of this supposed genius of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and universal basic income. And what I wanted to make sure to touch on is just the unbelievable irony. Like, the more I think about this, okay, there is no such thing as women's rights under socialism. This is a complete red herring. This is a canard. It just takes time. The whole idea with socialist economics, and you'll always find this cited by like the liberals who want to kind of give it a try when they're really desperate. You got them up against the ropes and you're just pounding at them with you know, fundamental economics and the way that humans actually human civilization evolved and what made things successful. So as you're pounding on the good liberal who's soft on socialism, like Tim Pool, you know, somebody like him would at some point, or even Lionel would do this too. They would say, well, look at the military. The military is fundamentally a socialist system, and then they'll go into bombast, right? They won't actually outline that, you know, the military in no way, shape, or form makes us money. Like, it's fundamentally not a money-making venture. It's even frightening to suppose that you want to sort of like propose this idea that there's going to be a profit made if people are treated like soldiers. The whole idea behind all socialist governments, every socialist movement in some way, shape, or form, it's militant, and it has the concept of that they want to revolt against capitalism. So what this fundamentally means is that you need people to be regimented. This is why they come up with group names. You have like allies, and those allies have tiers, and they have a hierarchy. Socialism fundamentally is based on a military labor hierarchy, and those who are better at the soldiery and the labor will be rewarded for that. And so it fundamentally comes down to the very concept of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the whole UBI thing. It's the typical socialist bullshit of, if you regiment everybody and give them a stipend, then you have a society ready for war at all times. And then who's ever in charge will tell everybody what to do, because that's how it must work. You can't regiment people without it being top down. The whole opposite of this is, thank you for the person who put in the comments, subsidiarity. Subsidiarity in our system, coming out of the ancient Catholic system, and really the ancient Greek system, surrounded by like the bishopry. That the bishopry is as high as it goes. This would be something similar to a county seat, possibly what we would call a state now. Maybe this would be a governor, something along those lines. Well, that's what the deal is. That you basically have to deal with the problems locally. That's a real community solution, is local solutions to a problem. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Bernie, all of them, they want fucking regimentation from the federal government down, like the armed forces. Only slaves like this. Slaves and people who like being told what to do. I know, I love being given orders. This is why I was into socialism when I was younger. I had been raised with the idea of regimented, orderly behavior and being told what to do. People who stay in school forever. People like Bernie Sanders, who never... Remember, Bernie Sanders never accomplished anything. He couldn't feed his own kid. Couldn't keep his first marriage together. He had to marry into money, like Muhammad. What was it? He was just writing screeds for the nation. He's actually shockingly, this is the thing about somebody like Bernie Sanders, shockingly similar. Socialism and Islam have a lot of similarities. These unaccomplished leaders who you're not supposed to pay attention to the fact that they're fundamentally amoral. You know, that most of their morality would be considered unethical or even evil almost at a glance unless you fundamentally simply praise them. Another that this would apply to, you got Che Guevara, to some degree, you got Castro's like that, but one of the best examples of this is Gandhi. Gandhi was a notorious anti-African racist in his best years, and he was into kids. It's like, people just don't want to deal with it. They've rewritten his history, and so people like AOC. One of the best parts about it is this regimentation of society thing. One of the key things about this is so popular among so many women who are like, oh, where are all the good men? Where have all the good men gone? You know, why can't we find good men? Because what they want is a military society that can be regimented. This is really something like men and especially Christians need to be worried about. Because the whole idea is at some point they will have entryism into churches. And these people will start trying to figure out a way that, once again, Christianity justifies socialism, and it absolutely does not. There is never an argument for this. This has been crushed by the Orthodox. This has been crushed by the Catholic Church. The only reason why the Catholic Church has turned on this is because their recent takeover by the Fanuc, you know, and, you know, the king of Fanucs. And so... there was one other thing I was thinking about. Oh yeah, so the whole regimentation of society thing. One of the most interesting things about this is why this is so popular on the cultural left. The cultural left actually has always been fascinated with this type of regimentation of society since the late 1800s, and they sort of have a romantic view of it. That there will be, this is why you see all these romantic drawings by both the fascists and the communists of the new man and all that jazz, is because these people really do believe once society is regimented, you will get a new form of human. It is, they really think it's like some super soldier wonder you will have. Neo, what up? And hey! Oh my god, these kids are so funny. All right. So the but yeah, this idea of, because one of the key things is with subsidiarity and the way the republic is set up, you actually have to trust your neighbors. You actually have to have some faith in your neighbors. You actually have to convince your neighbors of an idea. Top-down regimentation, you don't need to convince people. You tell them what to do. It's orders. It's orders from above. This is what socialists really, really love. This is the horror of like Eastern Germany. This is like the stories we would get out of the former Soviet Union. You know, that these people would, that there would be some random, you know, asshole in charge of some major sort of hub of the economy in some way, or how to actually get food for a village or something, and that you had to bribe them. That's the only way that socialism ended up working, is that you were constantly bribing people who were up above you to distribute resources that way that would be good for you in your village, your county, whatever the area was. And that this completely well-documented aspect of socialism and its its just crushing effect on society is just being ignored. And so slave people love this kind of thing. They think that they will be the kshatriya, or something. It's something like or kshatriya class, the warrior class. This is an Indo-European thing. This comes out of Indo-European occultism. That you will have the hammer wielding deity. You will have the cudgel wielding deity. Padmasambhava wields the cudgel of subduing Mara. So temptation, the creature of temptation, the king of hells, Yama or Mara, who tempted the Buddha. Padmasambhava carries the cudgel that will subdue Mara. Indra has the Vajra, his lightning bolt. The Slavic countries, the Indo-European, there's actually thunder and lightning. So it's two brothers they both have hammers, if I remember right. And one is thunder and one is lightning. Then there's the hammer Mjolnir. And so it's this concept of so then remember, the way that book I read earlier, there's 4 classes. There's the farmers, there's the farmers, soldiers, rulers, and I think, and it might have been just peasants maybe peasants. And so you had these, basically there's always somebody who's on the bottom. These systems have to work this way. The idea that capitalism is structured this way is not correct. What Marxism was talking about, the world he was looking at was a world with nobles. And in fact, you had the Soviet socialists, but like socialists socialists had no problem making deals with former nobles. Nobles who saw the light, and saw how they could be a part of things. They did. That would be the Bush family funding the Bolshevik Revolution and Hitler. So I just wanted to make sure to touch on this, because you see, it's really one of these things. Now, one of the key things also to understand, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is a thought. She's just a pretty bitch who's not very smart. Period. I mean, it doesn't matter where she went to school. It's everything she says shows that she actually does not really think her words through very well. She's one of the worst public speakers that has been seen in really probably about a decade. I mean, like, it's actually just fucking sad how bad of a public speaker she is. The deal is, she's just talking to a lot of other people who are thots, pussy beggars, and commies. Broken people who are communists, or punk ass socialists. And the whole thing, I mean, like, even Bronx bloggers like this. Bronx blogger is one of these people who he knows that in the present system, his group categorically, people who take it up the butt, people who give it up the butt, there's no importance to them. There's nothing. Society he's just a guy. He's just a guy doing his thing. He's a man going his own way, in a sense. He wants there to be a regimented society because then he will get a rank. That's it. He doesn't even know it. Like slave-minded people don't understand this. This is actually one of the reasons I gotta thank everybody on the right, and the libertarians, and especially the people who are really that black pill people. Because this is stuff said by Du Bois. This is stuff said by like Malcolm X. This is stuff that, I mean, I'm like thinking, no, this makes sense if I think of the autobiography of Malcolm X. This actually does kind of apply. And so I've actually had to really think a lot of, I had this rolling over in my head that I was like, yeah, that's what we're seeing here. This is just a way of regimenting society. Universal basic income is your stipend. It's your stipend for falling in line with the party. You will obey the party. Here is some money. You are obedient, and this is what key to the millennials who are on the left. They will obey anyone. They'll obey. Honestly, one of the things I've started to think about is if Trump was just harder, a lot of them will just fall in line. They'll finally have somebody who will tell them what to do. And the thing is, this thing with the wall and him saying I could do this through the military. We all knew this on the right. We knew that this was kind of a part of the strategy. He could just do it through the military. Now he didn't. Why? Because he wants the right to convince their neighbors. Otherwise, this will just be this endless this endless hostility. Oh, we lost over the wall, but we'll get them one day. We'll ruin the lives of all the people who like law and order and understand how the Constitution works and are decent human beings who happen to be our American citizens, rather than these traitors, these socialist traitors, these proto-communists, these people who want a totalitarian communist government that'll tell everyone to do. Now, my point about women's rights, that's the best part about this is all these stupid thoughts don't get it. It's like, you dumb thoughts. China is going to start taxing women, career women. If they're going to give, it's going to be that for the good of the country, you didn't have any babies, and for the good of the country, you're going to have to pay up, honey. And that's it. I mean, that's what's going to happen. They've already said it. It's like, the party is making considerations because there were a bunch of women mad about it. So? It's communist China. They take the organs out of people. They jail you for your religion. It's this. No, they're going to make you fucking breeding cows. And I just love this idea that it's like that won't happen here. This is why it's like no people want to deal with the fact that our welfare program is parallels in so many ways the German Mothers program. Churches that are going to go along with the left and their problems with the gospel and stuff like that. They're just going to be the next Reichskirche, the next state church, and they're going to have to be denounced by all of Christendom, and that's it. They just simply, nobody will actually even deal with them. They'll treat them as if they are actually completely blasphemers, and actually like anti-Christians. And there's some churches that needs to start happening now. It needs to be starting discussed, like churches that, oh yeah, we have female bishops and blah blah blah. Yeah, they're out. And so it doesn't matter if the Anglican Church is this, it's that. No, the Anglican Church is fundamentally not Christian. It has nothing to do with the Christian tradition. They're just making it up as they go along. No, I think it's the Anglicans who are doing that. It's one of them, that they start having female priests and stuff like that. And it's just, no, that's not how it works. And it doesn't matter if people want to think it was some other way at some time. And, oh, no, you see, you don't know about the Albigensians and the Cathars and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, no, those were a bunch of people making it up as they went along. That's all it was, is they were just Frankish, they were these Frankish tribes that were still, they were trying to have a syncretic thing. Now, I don't have to be glad that the Pope in Italy decided to crush them. I don't have to be glad about that, and it actually was particularly damaging to in the history of France. But it eventually forced people like the English to actually say no, fuck the Pope, fuck Rome. These people really suck, and so. And that just continued, that the French just becoming more and more just fucktardedly fucked up, and to their own people, and then eventually, they even took down the Knights Templar. And that one, it doesn't matter what all the they were worshiping all these things, they were doing all this stuff. There's no real evidence of that. This was the stage at which, in fact, actually, I think it was Philippe, if I remember correct. I think he was gay. If I remember right, it was like he was in a gay relationship with like a British noble or something bizarre like this. It was pretty crazy. It was pretty nuts. And at that time, was it the Pope that actually did that? Was the Pope that actually did some ceremony where he was walking around with some symbols in his hands that were supposed to represent that he was the emperor of Europe. He was the new emperor. That Pope that damned the Templars, that he actually, if I remember correctly, that was one of his most significant, kind of a very notable thing about him, is he got all dressed up in his little costume, and then he was doing some thing where he's walking around, look at me, I have these symbols in my hand and I'm like the emperor. And it was even like that he actually, this was totally pagan. But I just want to put that out there, because so people have been used to being told what to do. People have been regimented, that most people were slaves. Most people were serfs or slaves. The vast majority of the human population at some time. So people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and a lot of the people involved, they just like the old order coming back. That's what they want. They want the ancient order of ass-kicking to come back into existence, because this is, they want the new Rome. Period. They want the new Rome, or the new Rome, new Egypt, new whatever regimented system they want. And when they get it, everybody who is who's not an ally will get fucked up. They will fuck you up, and they will fuck you up. They'll fuck your kids up. They'll fuck your family up. They'll do everything, and they'll do everything. They'll do anything they can. They will start suing churches and saying the gospel is hate speech. So we gotta, this is just heading it off early. Everybody's gotta mock Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as a stupid ass thought. Memes like she's just, a dumb slut from the bar who's got a fascination with Marx. That's it, because that's what she is. She's just another stupid slut who's into Marx. And there's not really evidence that she was ever good at anything, that she actually accomplished shit. Just like Obama, there's no evidence he accomplished shit. It's just, yeah, he's a diversity hire. That's what it was. And now we could all deal with that. We could all deal with the fact that the left started to become fundamentally extremely racist, and would just handed the presidency to somebody because, they he's a cool hip Mac daddy. He used to snort coke and smoke weed, but now he doesn't. He's never had a job, but he should be president. This dude over here who's had a job that everybody knows almost everything about his life. He's been staying in the public eye as much as humanly possible. You can read his, I think, more than one book. Whether he ghost wrote it or not. I love that. Everyone's like, oh, he's such a phony. He ghost wrote his book. He's done all these, bankrupted and all stuff. And everybody who has a problem with Trump, you're probably a loser. You're probably a loser. Your wife probably isn't hot. Your kids probably aren't that impressive. You probably are extraordinarily mediocre. Like an extra mediocre. So there's mediocre and then there's you. You've done all kinds of shit that everybody's done, and it's shockingly uninteresting. Your band toured, and there's nobody in the universe who remembers the show. In another universe, somebody
actually forgot they saw your show. But in this universe, nobody even remembers that they forgot you were banned. You know, there's just that whole thing. Motherfuckers, get over it. You didn't build a thing with your name on it, so get over it. That's rare. That's super rare to be able to do that. To get an opportunity to do that, that takes generations. It took like three or four generations for Donald Trump to get that opportunity. So and that he's done exactly what New Yorkers do. He was a land developer. It's like quintessential New Yorker. And why does everybody hate it? Because New Yorkers are a bit tougher. They get stuff done. They move faster. They talk faster. Because you got to. West Coasters talk slow. They like being drug-addled. And they like the lackadaisical concept. Basically, they're the kind of people who really are exemplary of what slave labor is. People sitting around waiting for their stipend, and when somebody goes, "Hey, you slaves, you got to work," they go, "Oh, look at me, look, I'm going, oh boy, look at us, we're working, we're working," you know, and people don't understand. The history of American slave labor is the history of one of the most inefficient systems of labor ever. You know, this is why the North was able to beat the South so soundly. The South slavery didn't produce that much wealth. And then on top of it, very little of that wealth was reinvested in any way, because the planters were just kind of like people who saw themselves as low nobles. And they didn't even fight for the freedom of the country. The planters, they knew that if with freedom might come freedom for their slaves or slave revolts, so they didn't fight the British. They went out of their way not to fight the British. It was the rednecks of Appalachia. Without those Scots-Irish people, the rednecks, so the real deal, like Americans who are staying American with their sumptuous Memphis barbecue, without those people, nobody would have fought the British. It would have been a bunch of Virginians, a handful of other people from here and there. But what it was, the Appalachians went up, made sure everybody in Pennsylvania fought. They forced people to fight because these people were afraid of the rednecks. They were like, those motherfuckers are hardcore and they'll fucking kill us if so it's like they're like, no, you're gonna fight the British. And without them, we would have never fought the British off. Without the Appalachians and without what we call now the rednecks, so the white trash. So, I just want to make sure that I just unloaded all this stuff that was running through my head about this. I mean, like, think about it. Ocasio-Cortez comes from Cortez. She literally has the name of one of the most, like, hated of explorers. It's just one of these things where I just sit back and I'm like, what are you all not getting? That her mentality is this ancient Iberian, you know, the mestizo ancient Iberian slave mentality of, well, somebody's got a sword and a whip, so it might as well, I'm either going to be I'm going to be at one end of it, the business end or the wielding end, you know, and that's their worldview. People like that, that's really how they see the world. They don't enjoy work. That's a big one. You find this a lot with the culture of the left. They are actually resentful of work. They resent people who are happy and are working. They resent it. They really resent that. And that they also resent the happiness and the functionality of religious people. Because these people are crazy. How do they get anything done? How do they have things? No, and it's because, you know, that's slave mind. Slaves need universal basic income. Merchants trade in silver. Nobles trade in gold. Slaves trade in debt.